Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome, guys. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend, a great start to your Monday, but really more so a fantastic weekend after a very jam-packed and eventful week that we had last week. I'm sure that this week will be no different, but we're going to be here to break down everything that we possibly can and answer, hopefully, all of your market-related questions over the next few weeks. But I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. We're joined by Chef Jackus, Tucker, and Dr. Will's Outlook. Welcome, guys. I hope you, the panel, also. I have to say it, guys, because it's Monday. I hope you also had a great weekend, spending some time with your families or doing whatever you had to do to unwind. But before we can start talking about the markets, guys, before we can start talking about Bitcoin, equities, small caps, altcoins, and everything in between, I'm going to ask you guys to smash that like button for us. We will cook up a storm today. I always say on Mondays, when we're just kind of stirring on alpha for multiple days, we usually have some of the best alpha present. So if we can get you guys to boost that like button up, we would be very appreciative. And if not, maybe we bug you again, maybe we don't. You guys were pretty good last week, so I don't want to be too hard on you. But of course, like I said, it always means a lot to our channel and on our algorithm for you guys to hit that like button and boost us up. But let's get into some more granularities about the market, guys, right? I mean, Bitcoin pulling back today after a huge green week last week and kind of vice versa for crypto as a whole today. Is this a Monday pullback that's setting a weekly low before we fully send? Obviously, we have some great catalysts coming along the way for crypto here this week. Trump is speaking at the Bitcoin conference, among other things. You have And as I said last week, Bitcoin showed outsized strength. Solana showed outsized strength in the face of equity weakness. And we talked about this last week. It was something that we hadn't seen since essentially October, right, of 2023, where equities were downtrending into, I can't remember the exact level, but in the meantime, crypto was showing outsized strength as if it had front run the low that equities had put in. Are we seeing a similar dynamic here? Perhaps. Definitely seeing a lot of strength, obviously, like I said, from Bitcoin and Solana. But I think it's still a big week, obviously, for risk markets to confirm these breakouts. What will Bitcoin do this week? Will it shoot straight up above 70K and above the range, or will we carve out some sort of higher low? Will we roll over? Who knows? I'm sure we're going to talk about all of that on the show today. Of course, also with the equity markets, as I said, equities were in the face of crypto strength, equities were showing weakness last week, which is a very different shift based on the last few weeks that we've been seeing. So what happens with equities this week? I'm sure that's something that we will discuss as well, but I won't be yapping for too long. I want to make sure that we can go ahead and open up the panel immediately because it is a Monday and we cook a lot on a Monday. As I said, these shows tend to be sometimes the best. So make sure to hit that like button. Show your appreciation for some of the cooking that's about to be done. But yeah, guys, what are we seeing in the markets?
Oof. Big oof. What do you got there, Will?
That W we talked about last week, right around here. And now we're up here, all the way up here. And if we break above here, this neck, we're going all the way up here. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be. I think 300 is going to come sooner than what people think. Not where to definitely potential for pullback. I had to come back to the drawing board on BTC. That was another one too. And here's the thing: once you recapture the range, expectations should be muted. I think this is a bull flag playing out. I think personally, this is my thoughts, right? My thoughts. I think you're going to get a higher low structure. And I stated this on Twitter. I said 61 to 58 is your max spend. That's your max spend from here. You've recaptured the range. You've re-accepted above range lows, right? You re-accepted above support. And in my opinion, I think that, price here will stay stable above this range. Possible inverse head and shoulders, which would be very bullish on price action. But there will be some downside. But from where we're at now, it's 66K to 61 or 66K to 58. That's your downside. I think it's very muted You know, and then in addition to that, my OI indicator is stating that on the weekly time frame that longs are not as heavy as people think. It's basically stating that longs are pretty muted, shorts are pretty heavy, and the green side is usually a good place to be looking to take position. I could show you this on the chart. Like this is almost marked every single bottom on every single move. Right there's the bottom. You got the bounce, right? And then you come back down, you create a new bottom. Now you're getting another bounce. Over here, you got the bottom, right? And then we can come over here, same thing, bottom. Right here, same thing, bottom. I mean, I'm not saying that you should trade off of this, but it's a good indicator to use as a reflection against your other indicators, right? That's what I'm saying. I hate when people are like, oh, I'm gonna trade off this one indicator. No, I don't do that personally. I use it as something to kind of hedge my thoughts. And then if I'm on the high side, I have to look at my other indicators to see what they're looking at. And I also have to look at my chart formation to see what that's looking like. I mean, not to mention too, strongest position on the chart always is when your RSI is bouncing off your 50 or staying above your 50. You're above your 50. You're above your 50. You came into it, you bounced out, you're rolling, you're looking really good on the RSI. Not to mention too, other confluence. I'm showing 3 confluences here, not going one biasy, one opinion. I'm showing 3. This is the stochastic low here. I think stochastic is floored. You've got a W formation in the making here. I think stochastic's about to rip. Not to mention RSI is about to rip. Not to mention your flows on your OI indicator that I have is about to rip off the lows here. You're low, you're on the 50, and you're low. Like you've got great confluence here for upside. I think that if your pullback is to be muted, you might catch some kind of chop action over here, but I think you're getting ready to go into your bull run cycle move here really quickly. Maybe a month, maybe a couple weeks, but my anticipation is this is not worth shorting. I think that this is a place for me. I would just want to explain this part because this is important, and then I'll shut up and let everybody else talk because we have a big panel. I look at equity weakness as crypto strength. They don't always move in tandem. And what I've seen this cycle time and time again is there's not enough liquidity to move around. I agree on that. And so what I see is I see money move to equities, and then I see it move back to crypto. And I see it move to equities, I see it back to crypto. So I think equity weakness is crypto strength. And so I think that because equities are in this pullback phase, that a lot of people think are some high time frame, top. I think that you'll see strength in crypto to start to see those flows move in this direction. And I have confluence to kind of support that thesis. And then this is the last thing. I'll just point this out. And that confluence is related around, you can go to basically look on chain here. I think that that's important. And basically what we've got is we've got inflows of Bitcoin being bought up by your favorite people. We got Fidelity, who's bought 2,099 Bitcoin since this drop. We've got iShare that's bought 1,730 since this drop, BlackRock. We got ARK that's bought 649, Bitwise 665, Invesco 451, Vinek 119, Valkyrie is bought 113, Franklin bought 58, and that's a total of 5,518 Bitcoin that has been bought since the drop. So if you're super bearish here, who's your buyer? Who's your nominal buyer? It's the people that you don't want buying your Bitcoin, but you're giving it to them because you're scared of a little dipsy. But I'll be quiet there and I'll let the rest of the panel talk. That's just my thoughts.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Max, where you been?
Dude, I just made a video and my damn audio. Does my audio sound good right now? Does it sound crispy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Dude, I just made a video and it was a Pepe video, man, and I was cooking on it. And then I clicked the video to open it and the audio is all like robotic-y. Like you can still hear it, but like it's not. Look at this crispy microphone, man. This is a $350 microphone and it sounded like garbage. So then I'm sitting there tinkering with it. Yeah, that's nice. Trying to like figure out does the audio that I have right now, does it sound really good? Like it sounds nice, like it always does. Okay, yeah. So maybe it was an OBS problem, but something happened with the audio, man. So it's kind of irritating me a little bit, but I don't know what the issue was. But yeah, that's where I was. I was making a video on Pepe, and then I was messing around with my audio, and then yeah, I came in here. Will started cooking. But yeah, man, I don't know. Does somebody else want to comment on that? Because I came in late.
Max,
so yeah.
What do you think of that W formation I've been talking about since last week?
I mean, it played out perfectly, you know. And I mean, what I'm most excited about with the Solana strength that you have up here, Will, is that what Solana has represented for this market for basically the past year is that when Solana has been outperforming, specifically its Bitcoin pair, the market has generally gone risk on. Now, it doesn't have to remain that way, but there is no denying that that is what it has implied for the broader market this entire year. I don't know if you already went over this, Will. I mean, let me just steal the screen from you, man. I'm just gonna show you. I mean, I think like if you're looking for an entry, you could maybe get something like this, low key. You know, you could maybe get a local Jeet Fest. But as I had lengthy discussions with with some bears a couple weeks ago when I was in Europe, and I believe the consensus was if that 64K level gets flipped again, then I believe it makes more sense probabilistically to flip bullish. And as far as I can tell, we've had a clean range reclaim and a shift of market structure back to the upside. You're seeing the ETF flows positive. You're seeing USDT market cap moving up, USDC market cap moving up. We have Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference this week. Last I checked, I don't know if it still is, Binance funding was actually negative this weekend on Bitcoin for a little bit. From me trying to gauge sentiment, I believe there's a lot more people sidelined and panicked than there are people that are overexposed to the long side here. And I would agree with you, Will. That similar dynamic of equity weakness leading to crypto strength is precisely what we saw back in October of 2020. Was that this year? Yeah, let's take a look at it here. Let me pull this up. This is where I think we're potentially at. So let's take a look here. Let's pull up NASDAQ because we were all together when this dip happened right here. So here's the NASDAQ right here in October. Why does it show up so ugly like that? Just huge gaps. But yeah, here's Bitcoin up top. All right, and here's the NASDAQ. Look at the divergence, the very, very clear divergence that we saw right here. Bitcoin ripped up, NASDAQ dropping down, right? So it could be just, again, a very similar dynamic to where we're at right now, where, people are concerned that the NASDAQ is selling off, or, the S&P 500 is selling off, where it's actually not been something that has mattered too much this year. It's actually been kind of the opposite, where we've actually been able to see crypto perform well when equities finally take a breather. Let me hide all this. All this.
You know what we call that, Max? We call that capital rotation. We're going to continue.
Yeah, like your hot ball of money dynamic, rather than like everything going up at once. It's actually kind of what we've seen this entire cycle. So I think it's possible that we are in a similar regime to that of September, October, November 2023. And if we continue to see pronounced weakness in equities, I would look for crypto to basically just do what it did right over here and just continue upwards. So I don't know, man. That 64K level was big, like I already suggested. I think there's time to be cautious, and I would say locally, I could see something like this, playing out. I'll put these drawings back on, but I mean that there's a clear shift of market structure, so if you want to bet that there's going to suddenly be like another shift of market structure that hasn't happened yet, we can talk about that. But we had a market structure break to the upside. There was a lot of shorts down here. There was a lot of people that capitulated financially and emotionally. We typically get some dips after Bitcoin halving, and I feel like that was your dip, and I just feel like so much higher. I don't even know like I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just so damn bullish. Locally, you want to talk about a little pullback, like, that's fine. But I don't know how you're looking at this structure being like bearish here. If we did something like this, okay, if we dropped down and we were back under this market structure break, like here, let me just remove this fractal. If we drop back underneath here, like 64, and we drop down to like 61, and then we bounce back up into 64, I would say, okay, let's have a discussion about this, and then this being like your deviation, and then you go lower. But as of right now, it's like I don't see why you would be bearish naked right here, because we have shifted market structure to the upside. Like, that's undeniable. Like, this is maybe what you get, but 64 was your level. Like, we talked about that. Did we not talk about that? We talked about 64 being the level
needed. Yes.
I like how you point out naked too, because I feel like right here, if you're shorting, you are doing this naked. There's no way you're doing this with any type of stop, because you can get ran all the way up. And the point that the other factor too, you pointed out that there's a lot of shorts at the low. There's also a lot more shorts higher too that haven't closed, a lot higher, and a lot of people are not anticipating those getting ran.
My thing about the short argument is that we've moved up off the lows very aggressively, and you really haven't seen any OI reduction. So either there's a whole bunch of shorts above us that have not closed out yet, or there's just not as many shorts as I think people believe there are. And shorts got absolutely clapped on this run. And I will say this, I don't think it makes any sense to short here, like on futures. I think there are ways that you can express bearishness that aren't explicitly, short futures, because as we're seeing, I think yesterday is a perfect example, right? Like, Biden dropped out, and we had on ETH, for example, we had a candle that moved 80 or 90 points to the downside and was immediately bought back up. These conditions are just not, they're not the conditions that you take levered positions in my opinion, or really just discretionary shorts. I still feel that this is an area where caution is warranted, but I wanted to point out the short argument. Like, there has not been any meaningful OI reduction since we re-entered the range. So either there are residual shorts that are just not closing out, and they won't close out until we're above the range, or there aren't as many shorts present as people believe.
OI is basically hitting new all-time highs to me. It's like close there.
Would you close out a short if you shorted at 75K? If you were as bearish as most of the market is right now?
Well, I don't like to hold shorts for very long, so I probably would have. But I can't speak for like institutions and exchanges, obviously, because those are the people who are going to move the market, right? Like, they're the ones who are probably hedging at the top of the range so that they don't lose their ass.
Yeah, and
what's concerning about this though? Like, it's lining up perfectly with the highs that we have, right? Like, it's not like we've seen some crazy, like, it's not like OI is literally at like, 20% above where it was when we were in March or April or something like that, and price is getting absorbed. It's like we're right in line with, like, look at these highs. Like, I don't see this to be like out of whack or anything. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
I think well, the OI I'm using is I think adjusted for USD, right? Like, you convert it to USD valuations, and then you get a slightly different picture of what the numbers actually are. I use it on CoinAlyze though.
Yeah,
this is just aggregated open interest. It's got the notional.
Yeah, I use the aggregated as well.
And yours looks different than this?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different on CoinAlyze, but it's not like, it's a little higher on CoinAlyze, but I don't think it's, the point is, at the end of the day, there are, and I said this on the morning call, there are a lot of people openly interested in Bitcoin, and we don't quite know definitively what that means yet, right? It's all just kind of conjecture and speculation until we get a kill shot out of the range, right? Is that going to be a pump higher, or is this move going to retrace and get faded? I think that's still very much in question. Where I kind of push back on just being blatantly bullish here, as I've kind of been pointing out the obvious supply that we have within this range, but also the OI reduction. I'm going to keep hammering that. If there were a lot of shorts that had come in, we should have seen open interest, like a huge delta shed of shorts getting clapped, of shorts getting liquidated, and we haven't seen that yet, which to me signals more so that the open interest that we see coming in here is probably mostly long. But again, it's just speculation at the end of the day, and all we really know from open interest right now is that there are a lot of people openly interested in Bitcoin, and there are a lot more people openly interested in Bitcoin than Ethereum. I wanted to point that out too.
Yeah, but what? Real quick to add to that, doesn't it make? I don't know. Like I feel like the OI discussion is basically an assumption in a lot of ways versus like actually knowing what the OI looks like, because every book is different. Every exchange is different, right? And we're basing it off the exchange we're looking at every time we look at OI. So for me, this is why I really don't like using it as a great metric to really kind of read the market, unless I'm using a major exchange like Binance or Coinbase or something like that. I feel like these minor exchanges just don't have enough liquidity to really read the OI or the books really well. And I don't know, like this is why like I tend to stay more towards the RSI discussion. I'm not even gonna attempt to try and be like I'm an OI expert, because I'm not. I usually try and push back against it a lot because I feel like it really confuses a lot of people.
It's mostly conjecture at the end of the day. Like you are speculating on how people are positioned, unless you can really get down on a lower time frame and figure out exactly what came in where. You are basically just speaking on conjecture, which is true. I agree with that.
Yeah, and so like in this case with the market and the structure, I think structure is more important than anything. And I mean, I almost feel like saying the strength structure here, regardless of whether it was a strong push or not, especially with looking at now that we know we have ETF flows, it's undeniable. There's proof that there's ETF flows into the strength structure. I think looking at that, it's undeniable that price is strong here and it broke back into the range. I mean, can we all agree on that, or is that a mute point for people on the panel?
I do agree, Will, that the structure to me comes above anything like as a metric to use. And I do agree that the daily on BTC right now is bullish. On the weekly, it's not though. On the weekly, it's not. But on the daily, it is bullish.
Okay. Now,
you know what is bearish though is the like button. I had to point it out because we've already had a great discussion to start this show. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jackus and Will, but it had to be said. Before we get into this discussion, I'm going to ask you guys to slam that like button for us. Let's have a great Monday show with a lot of alpha being cooked. If you guys could slam that like button, I will pass it back to Jackus and Will now.
No, you're good. No, I just wanted to kind of get people's sentiment, because like if not, then I wanted to have a discussion around it. Like obviously, because I respect everybody's opinion and I want to know everybody's kind of thoughts. But like for me, I feel like the structure breaks to the upside have been very bullish and strong, right? And then I think like looking at the ETF flows combined with that, it's such a good indicator that when people ask where is the money coming from, it's like they're coming from the ETFs. That's where a lot of the money's coming from.
Yeah, man. Look, the flip right here was a big deal. I think we're gonna keep stair stepping. Honestly, I think we're just gonna keep doing this. I don't see why not. You flip the range golden pocket. You're trying to flip the point of control. You flip 64K. What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? I don't know. Bitcoin, Trump at the Bitcoin conference this week, maybe Elon too. What are we talking about?
Well, that
I do not necessarily think that the Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference is bullish. I would rather view that as kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news, rather event. But again, it's just another. I wouldn't even call it that important thing to really consider. But if anything, then him speaking at the stage, as we have seen with like the, another Bitcoin conferences, isn't like much of an importance. I do agree with, I think Tucker said this, that if we continue to climb up towards this range highs again at 72K, then I do think we should have higher.
I want to just kind of iterate real quick. That is something I do kind of agree with you guys on. If you guys are in that thesis, like it almost reminds me of the Elon SNN skit where he comes and talks about Doge and they just dump the freaking market. But I don't think it'll be as damaging as a lot of people think. I think if we do get a dump, you know, I still think our support is sitting around 61.58 and then back up. If we do get a dump that's really heavy, right? A really heavy dump. It's still a higher low structure. It's still a strong structure, and it would create a head and shoulders on the weekly time frame, and on the bigger play.
That's actually a good comparison with Elon talking at the Saturday Night's Live about Doge being it exact though. But I'm not sure if that's the case for BTC here.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't view it as bullish. I wouldn't view it as bullish itself. Like longer term, sure that is. But like again, it's like when you have CPI's news release, right? And they release the number. That number is bullish, but the market dumps. So I kind of try to view these events locally as liquidity injection into the market. And what they say or what those numbers are, those are more important for the longer term trend.
I think you're gonna get a nice long setup here, probably low key, like right in here somewhere. Honestly, I think we probably get that to start the week.
Bro, if we hit 65 and bounce, that's gonna be so freaking bullish. It's not even funny.
Something like that, man. So,
yeah.
My criteria for remaining super high time frame bullish is just that we could close July green. That's it. Whatever really happens from now until the end of the month, I would just say as long as we can close green, ideally we wouldn't have a huge wick to the upside, right? But if we close July green with that wick to the downside, I mean, it's hard to be bearish that candle, right? It is very hard to make a bearish case for a monthly candle like that. I'd say there's still time the bears could try to step in and do something, but I'm doing my best to not overcomplicate things, right? We just had a Bitcoin halving. Liquidity is in fact coming into these markets. Verifiably, stablecoin market caps are increasing. Global M2 is increasing. We are still in a Fed pause, even if there is some sort of day of reckoning coming down the line, right? Things are still fine for right now. So it's hard for me to look at a 4-month consolidation with basically a swing fail to the downside, which did in fact fire into the 0.5 of that monthly FVG perfectly, right? And be anything but over the top, screaming from the rooftop bullish. I'll give it about another week. But if we are staring down the barrel of a monthly candle like this and anybody is on Twitter being bearish, I don't even know what to argue with you about with a candle like that. Now, again, we have to close it like that, right? It's still, we got a week left, right? But I can't look at that candle and even debate you being bearish if we get a monthly candle like that. And we still have a week, okay? But, like, look at that thing. You don't have to be a TA guru to understand what that is.
Unreal.
Bullish hammer, man. Like to me, it's almost like the bottom was slanting down, and now it's starting to veer back up now, right? And that could be a hard swing to the upside, a FOMO type driven move.
Yeah,
yeah. But the bodies, see the bodies, how you had the level up on the bodies. One, yeah, there you go. Yep, that's what I'm starting to see there. I'm starting to see those bodies peak up, and for me, that's really, really bullish. I haven't even been looking at.
There's a time to left curve this market. There truly is a time to left curve this market and literally drool all over your keyboard. And just saying, like, this is the time to left curve the market. Like, oh, 4-month consolidation, swing fail to the downside, strong monthly candle. Our former and potentially future president is speaking. I turn brain off and bid. I don't know how else to put it.
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
I genuinely think you need to turn your brain off. I think chronic overthinking is going to ruin people here. I do.
And
I
it's
think
all
that 4 months of
above
chop. I think
this.
4 months of chop is painful, but
Look at that.
we'll see. We'll see how this month wraps up. Like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of time for something to go wrong, but I mean, look at that candle. That might be the best looking candle that I have maybe ever seen. That is unbelievable.
The thing is too, Max. I think the biggest thing is like we're all in agreement that there's potential for some downside, right? It's just how much downside do you think there's a potential for here? Like again, I am more in the camp of low 60s as max pain, but like there is that potential we can bounce out 65 and hold. And if that happens, you can't.
It depends on the monthly close. If Bulls can't finish this job, and they have every reason to be able to finish this. If Bulls can't get this monthly candle closed how they need, then I think you open yourself up to lower targets. But as of right now, I mean, you got a week. You know, hold your breath for a week. But that's it. Like that's it. You close the month like this, it's full send in August. That's how it's gonna go.
I like what No Way Jose said too. I do feel like if you draw that the right way, it could be a bull pin it, but I don't want to be biased on price. So because I could draw that like a bull pin it for sure, just off the body candles. But then people will say I'm being biased because it does have other shapes too. I'd say you got a bull flag potential there too, with those lows being perfectly dialed in to like just basically touch each other on a straight line. And then the highs are very similar too. Could you draw a bull flag on that real quick, Tucker?
Of course, Phil. Of course I can.
All right.
With pleasure.
I'm just saying, like it looks really freaking good there as far as price action structure. So
yeah, I think it looks more like falling wedge-ish on
it could be, yeah,
on like a lower time frame though. Kind of. I mean, now it's kind of breaking though. You know what I mean? Like if you were to,
yeah,
where you want to
that's
draw
true
it, but yeah, the higher time frame still looks fantastic. I think. I like this zone too. I like this.
I mean, Solana, man, Solana like is the most telling out of everything right now. Like it's telling you if you're bearish, you're about to get your back blown out. On a bigger move, right? If you're bearish on a bigger move, I think you can get a small pullback here. Roughly 5-6K Bitcoin down to the downside, but I think like looking for like low 40s or low 30s, I think in those potentials, the way Solana's set up, I don't think that's possible, man. Risk is really taking a bite here. We saw it with one other asset too that we love. If it's okay to mention it, Max. I'd like to say what's up, dog. We didn't get a chance to talk about it this morning, but like, what's up?
Hey, I talked about Updog this morning.
No, I meant on the show. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Tommy, I need to press you on something. You said 64K, there's no reason to be bearish. That may have been like a week or two ago. Why 3K higher are you still cautious?
I don't feel like I saw the things that I wanted to see to get bullish, and I don't want to just decide whether I'm bullish or bearish based on static criteria. I want it to be it's adjusting with how the move has gone, and I really don't feel the move has been aggressive, right? But I don't think it's necessarily been that strong. Like spot has not been leading this move. It's been almost entirely perps from the lows. We've added like 5 billion in open interest, which sure, you can argue some of it is shorts, but a lot of it's most definitely long, given that this is crypto and it is primarily upside returns that people are here for to trade on leverage. But it's like you said, Max, it's not just about where we're trading. It's about when we are trading at that location, right? Like where are we trading at the end of July? Because we've seen crypto do this all the time. If I'm in the camp that I think that this is a scammy move, and right now I am, but I can be convinced otherwise, right? But if I'm in the camp that this is a scammy move, I would expect them to, like, I wouldn't have it outside the realm of possibility for them to take it higher than I would expect and then to actually pull the rug from under it. But yeah, I mean, that's really my thoughts. Like it's
in regards to the open interest,
but it's not always going to be, I'm not going to make decisions based on criteria that's always going to be the exact same, because information in crypto changes every day.
Yeah. In regards to the open interest part of that discussion, is it or is it not always the case that when crypto heats up, we do in fact see dramatic and exponential increases in OI across the board to the long side? And that is symbolic
No,
of
we
a bull
do.
market.
We do, but I don't
So
think
that would
I don't think the sideline capital that you guys think is present is there right now. Like, I really don't think the risk is to the upside in crypto. That's not to say that I'm completely sidelined, but I don't think that the risk in crypto, when everybody is overwhelmingly long, is that we're just about to have this massive candle to the upside. I just don't think that's the case.
Where's the liquidity going to come from, Tommy? Where is it going to come from?
Well, right now, the only thing getting bid are majors in Solana, like meme coins that should have broken out from the move that we had last week on Bitcoin still haven't. Why isn't that? You know, why haven't they? Why didn't Pepe, after its first leg higher, continue to leg higher? Why haven't things like Caspa should have legged higher, for example? I'm just going down my watch list. Like BNB should probably be higher. I'd like to see Riff
70% off the low.
Because they were down so much. They got destroyed.
No. Like if Bitcoin's not going to break the range to the upside, then neither is, Pepe's going to wait for Bitcoin, obviously.
We're quick.
This is where I feel like,
problem
you guys accuse me of moving goalposts, but at the same time, it's like, why we said a few weeks ago, like, this is either alt season or it's not, and alts are not getting bid. Bitcoin dominance is still getting bid. Majors are the only thing getting bid. Altcoins are still lagging, and you have IWM looking like it's about to round trip last week's move. Like, I feel like there's still plenty of conflicting information out here, even despite the move that Bitcoin and ETH have had. I mean, especially Bitcoin. Like, I'm not even going to lie, that was an incredibly strong move, and obviously much stronger than I expected. But I don't think I still don't think it's as cut and dry as people are making it out to be.
Well, here's the thing, Tommy. Let me ask you this and give you some theses. Look, based on ETF flows, can we definitively say that we know who the buyers were? Like, I would arguably say that we're saying what has driven this move, and we look at ETF buys. Fidelity bought half of what the 9 ETFs combined bought by itself.
Will, how much did they actually buy? Do you have numbers on that?
Yeah, I have literal numbers on. I sent you in a text, Max. The text I sent you, like, it's literal for like high numbers that they're sitting at for.
Okay,
for
so Fidelity. So you're saying the reason for this move is it's not going to be reflected in OI or conventional spot CVDs. It's just
correct
ETF.
It's just ETF flows. A lot of it's ETF flows.
They bought 140 mil, and the total ETFs from July 22nd were 360 mil. Is that right?
Well, there was a similar market dynamic to what I think we're potentially seeing right now last cycle, where basically once Bitcoin finally broke through that previous cycle all-time high of 19.7 with conviction, Bitcoin dominance had its final spike higher, and everything kind of sat there. Yeah, that move. Everything kind of just sat and watched Bitcoin to confirm that, hey, we're going into price discovery. I think a potential bullish justification, Tommy, as to why certain altcoins are not getting bid, and really it's just majors like Bitcoin and I guess Sol, and then there's a few others, right? But you know what I mean, is potentially just the market waiting for that final confirmation of like, hey, we are about to go risk on. Bitcoin is not bluffing to the upside. It's going to go into price discovery. So there's maybe a similar dynamic going on right now where, like, why are some of the obvious plays, I think you mentioned Pepe and Caspa, why haven't they gone into price discovery yet if Bitcoin's so damn sure? I think maybe it's a dynamic similar to what we saw at the end of 2020 or early 2021, where until Bitcoin actually gives you that like all clear, you're probably not going to see alts go bananas, And I put out a tweet about this. I have a feeling that we need a Bitcoin maxi celebration space before we can have alt season. And we haven't had that yet. Okay. We need the Bitcoin maxis to come out and troll all of the altcoin or shitcoin enablers like us. We need them to troll us. Okay. And then we get alt season.
I'd prefer they just troll ETH because I'd probably help them do that. But no, I do think it is interesting though, right? Like that you're seeing ETH Bitcoin so weak into the actual ETF because it's going live tomorrow, right? And ETH Bitcoin still, I mean, it looks like another lower high on a high time frame. And I know it's not the best, like it's not the risk on barometer of the cycle, but I do think to a certain extent, it's kind of like the liquidity indicator of crypto, right? When ETH Bitcoin is trading higher, usually liquidity conditions are favorable for altcoins, even if it's not as binary as ETH Bitcoin green, every altcoin should be green. ETH Bitcoin red, every altcoin should be red.
Let's look at ETH BTC quick here. Let's take a look at it. So I would say we're coming into a level, right? For one, this is 2-week time frame. There is a decent little inefficiency right here. It wouldn't, I mean, at this point, like it'd be cool to see a little like 0.05 or 0.0499, you know, retest just for the like, oh, the ETF launch was a failure, you know, but then we end up holding like, you know, this high time frame order block right here or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it looks again just like it's a continuation pattern of like, you know, this is a problem, right? Like there's no question about it. This has continued. Like I can't believe how long this trend has been. This has been the easiest trade potentially in the history of all trades of all time ever, where just like every time ETH BTC pops, just long Bitcoin, short ETH. I can't believe how long that's worked for. Talk about like a blowout scenario. Eventually, the ETH BTC shorters are going to get blown out. That is going to happen eventually because you're going to get you're going to get like this. Okay. Eventually, they're going to get blown out. You're going to see all of these highs get taken. It's going to be like this. Okay. All the ETH BTC shorters that have been greedy are going to round trip eventually. I don't know when. I kind of think it's going to be soon, but I don't know if I had to prospect where we're potentially at, honestly, like I swear, like I would view it something like this, like comparably. I would view us doing something like this. I would view us precisely you know, right in this region. And I think the context of where the market is at also potentially awards me what I'm looking for here. So like let's look at last cycle. Like I don't think we are like early stage bull market. I think Bitcoin is somewhere like up in this region. Like I think it's going to have one more like giant push up, and I think you're going to see ETH begin to outperform probably for like the remainder of this cycle, whatever that even means. Like I just don't think there's a huge benefit to like, I guess it's possible we could see a scenario where like, I know, Tommy, I think the target you're looking for is like you want us down in this region, right? Like somewhere.
I'd love 0.038.
Like you want this, right? Something in here. Yeah. Like I guess it's possible, right? And I think if that did happen, it would imply we have a much longer cycle and we're much earlier in it than I thought. But yeah, I mean, I'm generally like I'm not expecting new lows on ETH BTC. I really am not. I know we've been here forever, but I don't know. I just am not expecting new lows on ETH BTC. Like I would look at this chart right here, and I would think that we've already put in kind of this like capitulation, you know, and it's time to start performing well. But I guess I could be wrong on that.
I kind of think the ETH Bitcoin inflection point is going to be when it's probably going to be as a store, like ETH as a store of value. I know we view it as a you know, a blockchain layer that you can transact on, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, people aren't bidding ETH right now for that, or this cycle. They're not bidding it for that reason. They're bidding SOL. And I think if you're looking for an L1, either one of two things is going to happen for the bid on SOL to end and to finally shift over to ETH. Either SOL is going to become way overpriced relative to ETH so that people feel like they want to bid ETH again, or Bitcoin becomes so overpriced relative to ETH as a store of value that ETH becomes attractive to that degree. But I think one of those two things needs to happen. Otherwise, you know, Bitcoin's a better store of value than ETH, and Solana has a better product market fit than ETH does on chain. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I think is what it's going to take for ETH to catch that bid again.
I'm glad you said that, Tommy. I'm glad you said that. And this comment, where did it go? Yeah, what about Sol BTC, brother? What about it?
Sol BTC looks really good, honestly.
Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you.
W formation high. Just saying.
All right. High, higher high, lower high, high, higher high, lower high. Low, higher low, lower low, low, higher low, lower low. I mean, what are we talking about here, guys? What are we talking? I mean, this Sol has been far more relevant to altcoin outperformance than has ETH BTC the whole cycle, because altcoins have ripped, right? We haven't really had PVE alt season where everything just goes up, all sectors at the same time, but we have had meme coins rip pretty much the entire time, while Sol's been going up. And we've had this move out of Sol, right? We've had this move. Okay. And then we've gone sideways, and study what comes next. All right. And obviously, we're not going to go as vertical as we did when Sol was like $5 or whatever it was back then. But as the risk on gauge this cycle, and I've tweeted about this, man, this is identical. It's identical. Like you can't unsee it, right?
Can you put Bitcoin on the bottom of that? I just want to see like last cycle where you can turn off Fu Manchu. That's fine. But maybe just put Bitcoin up just to kind of paint where, if that is playing out again, like what it would mean for the, like where we're at in the cycle. So it kind of means like another giant push, and then altcoins outperform, and then ogre.
And then ogre. Yeah. And then ogre.
I kind of feel like, in addition to this, I know we're mainly talking about crypto, but like even NVIDIA looks like it's kind of forming a low here. Like I don't know that you go much deeper than this.
What if we just doesn't work? Oh, it kind of does, doesn't it? I don't know. What do we think about like this little thing? All right, how does this work here? All right, it doesn't work. That's
Damn,
cool.
man, I just got terrible news. Ed said that my video is unsalvageable. The audio is so bad, I have to redo it.
No,
that is tragic. Absolutely tragic, man.
That's tough, man.
It's over. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, the one more good push up, you get a little blow off in Sol Bitcoin.
Can you do me a favor and put ETH BTC down below as well, just so we can reference if it is going to do this? Maybe.
Yes. Oh wait, wrong thing.
New pain, brother. New pain.
Always new pain. Always. There we go.
When you're done, Tucker, if you can kick it over to me. When you're done, go and finish up doing what you're doing.
So sad. Look at this. What is this?
It's so sad.
So yeah, last cycle during the top distribution in April, May of 21, you had ETH BTC rip. You had this kind of first rip on Sol, and then it just went sideways while Bitcoin nuked. I mean, ETH pulled back, but kind of same thing. And then you got Sol Bitcoin ripping, and ETH just did nothing.
I mean, just like every which way I look at the market, I said this, I would view Bitcoin in like inning 6 of its bull market, and altcoins in like inning 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay? Like just looking generally, like overlaying previous cycles over present ones from a timing perspective, kind of trying to apply the macro backdrop to when we could maybe expect some of the rate hikes, starting a couple years ago to really work their way through the plumbing of the economy and cause some turbulence. And then trying to contextualize where altcoins are in the broader cycle compared to Bitcoin. Again, I would view Bitcoin in like January of 2021, give or take. Okay. Like January of 2021 for Bitcoin was its first major like high time frame correction, like right there, Tucker.
Yeah, right.
I would view Bitcoin right around there. Like Bitcoin, and it was weird. Last cycle was weird, right? Like we had a really strange double. We had like 2 cycles in one. Like it was like a double top, where we had a huge 50% correction mid cycle. Like I'm not expecting that again, or at least I hope not. But I view where we're at right now as like our first major high time frame correction of this cycle, right? Like plain and simple. And if that is the case, then altcoins should perform better than Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes into price discovery, which I would argue is sooner rather than later. So it's like, yeah, I could be proven wrong on that. If Bitcoin doesn't break to the upside here and somehow this is distributive, then, you know, alts are not going to do well at all. But I'm still viewing the market like clear cut. As long as Bitcoin actually, like, as long as this isn't a bluff move and Bitcoin is being sincere and has intentions to go into price discovery and actually fulfills that, then altcoins are set to outperform Bitcoin. Maybe after one final Bitcoin-led rally, altcoins should do tremendously well. And I think the canary here is Solana. Sol hasn't been particularly impressive for months. And I feel as though lining up with this Bitcoin move, you're seeing Solana strength right when you needed it. You know?
Sol ETH too. Yeah.
I mean, it lined right up with my daily thesis, that W formation low. Like it was a perfect run on the
W on Sol ETH, bro. Look at that.
Yeah, it's like the thing that I think Sol is next cycle ETFs. I don't know if it gets it this cycle. I might. I think Ethereum, people are underestimating ETFs. I mean, look at where ETFs drove Bitcoin. ETFs were announced at what, 30K, drove it back to 25. And then what happened to Bitcoin? It ran from 25 to 75. Like people are underestimating the potential here though for ETH also. So I just want to point that out too. I think people are not understanding the inflows that could occur and will occur. I mean, look at the Bitcoin buys. Those are all ETF buys, guys. It's not whales market manipulating price. It's fucking bunch of sorry, excuse my language, but it's a bunch of ETF buys buying up the chart while everybody's crying about how prices are going to go lower.
Yeah, I think you've got, as soon as Sol, I've been saying 175 because that was this level, but you closed a weekly at 180. Like this, I think this is also setting up for a great little long probably. Like I think if you get like 175 again, that's a punt for me, man. That is a punt. Easily back to the highs. Probably all-time highs.
Let me ask you this, Tucker. Just my thought, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but how do you look at this strong swing and say that this is not intentional? This is all going to retrace itself.
I don't know, brother.
On all these assets like Sol, BTC, like these are some strong. Like this is real flow. Like the flows are strong here. Like it's not a complacency bounce, in my opinion. It's just not.
I mean, I think the thesis, right, is that,
oh my God.
I think the thesis is that equity market turmoil will pause and basically halt any potential of Bitcoin really breaking through, which is like if things got nasty and we saw a major VIX spike in the equity markets catalyzed by something, I don't know what that would be, but if it did happen, it's hard to imagine a scenario where like you saw mega cap tech, and I guess because we were bullish on it last week and I'm still optimistic it will hold its pump, IWM needs to follow through. That's another like strong signal.
Max, give me the screen.
You take it.
Take it.
I can't take it.
No,
he doesn't have admin.
Take it.
How?
That's like, here's the thing. If IWM full stack jeets this pump, okay, then I wouldn't be as excited about crypto. I'm not of the opinion that IWM full retraces this pump. But if it did, there hasn't been a cycle yet where IWM hasn't gone into price discovery or has been pushing all-time highs. and crypto has, right? Like they do it in tandem, and the timing of it is almost impeccable. It's perfect. So we're gonna need IWM. We're gonna need small caps to follow through. It's that
Max.
simple. Yeah.
Last halving, right? Last halving. Where was our halving over here? March, right?
April.
Okay, we'll go to April. All right, let's go ahead and put it on the
Yeah,
board
no,
for
Will,
everybody.
I'm with you, bro. Like it's really similar. I'm just saying, like, if IWM for whatever reason couldn't find its legs and couldn't finish the job, we haven't had a cycle yet. We haven't had a crypto cycle yet.
That's all I'm
where
saying.
IWM has been under all-time high and Bitcoin's gone into a rage pump. It hasn't happened yet. So that's what I'm looking out for, is like, I think it looks fine. I think we're back filling some gaps from last week. But again, it's all about your follow through. Similarly to what I was saying when I came on initially, is we need that monthly close. We need that follow through for Bitcoin. You get that? I don't even want to hear a bearish note. It doesn't make sense. But until then, we need follow through. Just like I need to see IWM fill in the gap, do whatever it wants to do here, but then start moving, right? We need IWM and price discovery.
But Max, what do you think of this structure, man? What do you think of this structure here?
Can you?
Is that IWM?
That's IWM.
Yeah, it's incredibly similar so far.
Where
No question.
Is that from like post-COVID?
This is post-COVID halving. This is the halving. This is the halving. This is the lower low. This is the lower low. This is the higher low. This is the higher low. And
Yeah,
then what do you get from there?
I view the big difference here is that pre-COVID, we had a price-based capitulation, where this time around we had a time-based capitulation, but both, I think, accomplished what they set out to do. So yeah, I think the context makes perfect sense aligning the halving. Structurally, I see those like three little highs that you have arrows marked out at, Will, like that's similar. Give me IWM and price discovery next month, and like full on risk on everything. But
Max, look at this.
Let's get there.
Boom. And then where we're at right now, boom.
Yeah, I think it looks similar, man. I was here, let me pull it up. I had a nice, dude, I think I'm taking it back from you, Will.
Go
like
for it.
I had the, let me see, no, oh, these are old levels. This is an old IWM chart. Okay, I did a video on this last week, so I'm just gonna do this here, and we'll line this up with Bitcoin, because I want to show you what I'm talking about, Will. Where like we do in fact need, we need a little bit of follow through here.
I mean, it's got the higher low structure. That's all I need to see.
So here's Bitcoin down below. All right. Here's what I like about IWM quite a bit. All right. I don't view this as bearish at all. Okay. I view this as a very, very clear range. Right. And then I view this up here as, like basically like bull chop, or reaccumulation, like acceptance above the range high right here, and you could kind of draw this too. Like I view this very much so as like bull chop, not some sort of like deviation, we're about to go back to the lows or something like that. That's not how I'm interpreting this at all. And I would view this, Will, like you had drawn, I would view this kind of similarly. Yep. Right, just kind of right underneath that previous all-time high. But what we really, and here, let's throw Bitcoin into the mix here, right? So this is what I wanted to show. Where was Bitcoin when IWM was bull chopping last cycle, right? So it would be roughly right around here, which is for Bitcoin, I'll draw on the previous all-time high. It was kind of around that, right? Here was the previous all-time high for Bitcoin. So this cycle, if we were doing that fractal, Will, where would we be? Somewhere
we're in our breakout phase, man.
Give or take. It's not going to be perfect. But what ultimately sent Bitcoin so much higher was IWM went into price discovery, and we could maybe kind of cheat a little bit and put it here and just say that was like, you know, a very predatory deviation or whatever, and just say like this is your all-time high range high, which, you know, depending who you ask would make sense. Like Bitcoin went into price discovery after the Russell. When the Russell was finally in price discovery, then Bitcoin went into price discovery. Like we do in fact need to see continued strength out of the Russell, or at least an attempt higher. And then I think you get up on Bitcoin too. So like so far it looks good, but like you need to see continued strength out of small caps. So oh my gosh, what was that? But yeah, like we need to see locally here on the Russell, like let's look at it. I don't view this as bearish. Like I just don't. I don't. Like I view this as like we have moved up. I guess it's possible. Like the bearish case, here's the thing. Here's what we need to look out for, right? Is if somehow we're misreading it, right? And we just do a move like this, right? And somehow this is like your new range high. Like you get back below that and like you're down here in like the 200s. Like I hate that. I hate that a lot. That is not good, right? I hate that because then the Russell likes to do that where it does something like this. Like see these moves. The Russell does do that. We can't go back. We can't go back down into here. Like you get acceptance, in my opinion. Like the Russell does this. Like no, ugly, like so bad.
Why are we showing bear porn?
I'm just presenting like that the Russell needs to follow through here, and I would say context will like context. I think it makes a lot more sense we're here. But we can't have this. We can't have this. Even like this shit over. The Russell's the king of the PO3, man. Like the Russell is the king of the PO3. Like I don't want any whiff of that at all. None. Zero.
But I think that's what bears are trying to sniff out. But I think you're just so early to try and do it before support breaks.
Here's where that should have happened for them. What should have happened for them is it should have already happened, in my opinion. Like this should have been. If it was going to be bearish, this should have been, you know, you should have seen this. So I think that we're right here. I'm just saying I don't want to see us back like low 200s on the Russell at all. No. Not for me. No, thank you.
Yeah, can't happen. It looks good right now, though.
It does look good right now.
100%, yeah.
I mean,
this looks good. This looks strong.
What will destroy bears is if they come back down and retest that support range, you know, where you flipped, and then they bounce off that. Bears will be absolutely devastated if that occurs.
I mean, this looks good.
See a retest, though, Will. I'll be honest.
What's up?
I really don't think you want to see a retest of that level.
I mean, we saw a retest on Bitcoin. Bitcoin came back pretty strong.
Okay, here's what I think you could do.
It's one of those, if you get a perfect retest, it's probably not so perfect type of things for me. Especially on the drive higher that the IWM had. That's a powerful move. I don't think it should be retracing that candle.
I do. I think it should rebalance. I think it should retrace a good chunk of that.
I kind of don't think we should retrace too much of it. I would allow for like 211, 210.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, come back.
You get down into like 203. Fuck no, man. No. But like this is bullish. Like this right here. If you're looking at this chart and you know TA, like this is bullish. But like next level, like we need to be up in like the 230 region. Like this region right up in here is your target next. Like that should happen sooner rather than later. Like right there.
I love it. So Will says 2022 to 2023 was way easier than 2024. I'll tell you this: the bear market's always easier than the bull market because you know everything's just going to keep going down in the bear market. And then in the bull market, you get these chop zones that literally just eat you alive. But in a bear market, it's just like short every major rally. I had no problems navigating the bear market. It was actually pretty cake to take leverage positions. But
when's Trump talking, man? That's all I need to know. When's Trump gonna talk?
I don't know, man.
it's all that matters, really.
Here's the thing. We can
Hang on. Study strategic Bitcoin reserves in the U.S. government. Study it.
if they pump up to 75 during a speech, I would consider some short stopping.
Yeah,
at that point.
That's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
If they pump to like 75K and he's talking actively, I'd be like, okay, they're gonna run this shit back down. But if the market stays mute during the speech, I think this is just natural price action.
Yeah, that would be like a CPI type of squeeze, and then pull back, and then send.
And then send, yeah.
I want to look at MSTR because I think it's important to acknowledge the Bitcoin stocks, not just Bitcoin. It's too mature of a market now at this point. That looks interesting, you know. That looks interesting. But I actually think that MSTR looks pretty good here. Like looks better than Bitcoin.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Higher low structure break of the recent lower low. So yeah, I think that when you look at that, that's flagging to the upside.
Yeah, like so I mean the big difference here is like MSTR never made, so there was a divergence here, right? So MSTR is kind of like your levered Bitcoin. I mean, it's like your levered Bitcoin ETF, right? It's been outperforming. MSTR didn't go on to make a lower low or lose its range, and Bitcoin did, right? So there's different dynamics at play here, right? And this high that was set in May, you know, MSTR is above that and Bitcoin is still not, right? So I think we've used in the past, we have used MSTR and Coin and Robinhood and Bitcoin miners, you know, companies. We've used those tickers as a signal to potentially sniff out when legacy is interested in Bitcoin. At least that's how I have. And I would argue that MSTR looks really, really solid here, and is potentially leading Bitcoin into a new high. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, coin looks pretty good too, honestly. Coin and MSTR both look better than Bitcoin here. So
yeah, same kind of structure.
What does IBIT look like? IBIT is identical to Bitcoin pretty much right here, but
I mean, see, all the Bitcoin stocks look the same. This looks the same as MSTR. Is the exact same thing. Like, didn't go on to make that low and got above that high, you know?
We're looking at MicroStrategy.
Jackas, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to use MSTR and Coinbase as like tools to predict the BTC price. And I was saying that before. I still think that MSTR is in a range. If you zoom in on H4, I think there is a very clear range there being formed. Maybe you gotta zoom out a little bit more, but and you will see it. But if we do flip it to the upside, then I think we're gonna run heavy. And I do think that if BTC trades the range highs at 72K, then I do think that it's going to keep on running heavy as well. Well, like we can pull back from 72, right? Like to back to 67. But I think that if we do go to 72 on BTC, then I think the market is going to keep on. No, that's not how I view the range. But
Tighten it up like this.
Yeah, like you see that swing that happened approximately in March, that little one at the top. So you got deviation above and then deviation below. Yeah, that one.
So I think he's saying move the top of your range there down to that level.
Oh, are you
basically.
No, Max,
Yeah.
the top of
Yeah,
your
no,
channel.
yeah, like you have those two lines. That's the range to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, like that. And then the bottoming one, yeah, like that, which is in my opinion. So if we do break above it, I do think that MSTR is going to run. And at that point, I would tend to think that BTC will run too. And as I said, if BTC just keeps going higher towards 72K, then I do think that even if there would be a pullback from 72 to like 67, it would just probably be higher later on. But I still do think that there are lots of risks right now on the table, which doesn't mean, like, again, a lot of people think that you are either all in or all out in the market, which shouldn't be the case, never. But yeah, not sure if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's a good response. Somebody in the comments asked, someone help me, what does IWM mean? So the IWM is the Russell 2000, essentially. It's small cap stocks, it's high risk stocks. So when you think risk, IWM's that play. And so if there's risk, that means there's a lot of capital. There's a lot of capital, there's a lot of risk.
I really think, though, that, like, I think it's going to be interesting to see how ETH plays out over the next day, because we have the ETF launch tomorrow, right? And let's say, hopefully, that they do not postpone it once again. But I think it's at a spot where it just needs to shoot up, because, like, we are still hovering with that 3.5K resistance, and we are still having a hard time breaking it. So we really do have to break it to the upside with, like, strengths. We gotta go straight from here to like 3,800, right? Because then any pullback is to one too long and finally break that 4K resistance, which I said many times is the most crucial one. I think that when we do break 4K on ETH, that's when ETH BTC will run. But until then, we can easily just as well reject from 3.5K again and just head towards 2,700 or so. So essentially, if we look onto the weekly, then ETH remains in that regard a little bit stronger to me than BTC, because it's still printing. It has printed lower high, but it's still printed a higher low too. While BTC just keeps on for now printing lower highs and lower lows on the weekly. So essentially, again, I do think that 4K is going to get broken. We have to think of this whole macro range since 2021 as a macro range. The moment you break 4K, I think at that point it's just like send everything season. Like, that's the real ape mode. That's the real easy mode, right? Once 4K is out of the question. Until then, we can the price can move up and down within where we are. And I'm just trying to, like, figure out how that's going to play out with tomorrow's launch.
Do the bankers want Russian coins, the Ethereums, the precious Ethereums, or the piece of shit Ethereums, depending on your perspective? No, I thought it was interesting last week, though, that Bitcoin caught such a big bid and ETH was still lagging to such a degree, despite the fact that you have ETFs this week. But it is probably one of those things, if the flows are much better than expected, then people are going to feel underexposed and then they would chase. But I think, looking at, as we talked about earlier on the show, you kind of have to see that reversal right around this area on the pair. So if it's not happening here, then it might actually take Bitcoin trading a lot higher before people get interested in Ethereum. But I'm going to go back to what I said probably 20 minutes ago. I think ETH will get bid less on price-based catalysts, more on fundamental catalysts. You want an L1 exposure to the market. Solana is still probably the best bet until it appreciates to a higher degree against Ethereum. And Bitcoin's probably a better store of value bet than Ethereum for a myriad of reasons. But fundamentally we can see the ETF flows, showing that with Bitcoin right now, that people prefer it as a store of value over Ethereum. Interestingly enough, hedge funds are actually, I think I saw on X.com, I hate saying X, I prefer Twitter, but I saw hedge funds actually built their highest long gold positioning. Jackus, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in a really long time over the past few months. Is that correct?
Sorry, once again, I missed that after you said I laughed at the Twitter one.
I saw that hedge funds have built their largest long gold positioning in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with gold is that central bankers are buying across the world, so they are the largest financial entities, and given like that's another risk, right? Like to the whole picture. And well, sorry, Tommy, do you want to keep on cooking there? I do not want to cut you out.
No, I mean that was pretty much all I wanted to say. I mean, I think if gold is obviously being bid as a store of value, it makes sense for Bitcoin to be bid more than ETH for that fundamental utility.
So I think this goes more all around, right? Like with gold being bid, this is definitely sending us to the decade of commodities, and it's definitely showing that the largest financial entities with the most knowledge and most buying power are seeing something, right? And that is the reason why, after like decades of just being forex only, basically, and lots of them having either no gold reserves or very minimal, are now making this rotation. And you know that it takes them time because they are the largest entities, right? Like think of JP Morgan when it had to buy Bear Stearns and it had to take its all right, that's another discussion for another time. It's pretty interesting how it went with the silver there, but I want to go back slightly to crypto here. And Tommy said, sorry, not you, Tommy, but like some Tommy in the comments said that I am still bearish. So I would like to just like tackle that a little bit, because I still do remain to being macro bullish, right? And with this weekly close we just had on BTC, I am now more like, again, it's never like, you're fully bullish or fully bearish. Well, in rare times maybe, but like I'm now more like 55 towards being bullish and 45 to being bearish on mid time frames, because I have to respect the fact what the guy's spoken about, right? Like, and I said this before myself, that if we do break 64K on the daily perspective, the daily then is bullish, right? And we are inside of the range, and there are lots of shorter term bullish arguments, but I'm also respectful of lots of the bearish ones that are on the table right now. And given how long I've been in the markets and I have seen so many fuckeries before, that is still keeping me not like bearish, but cautiously respecting the risk that's on the table, right? Like, you do not have to always be either all in or all out in the markets. And I think Thomas said this pretty well, right? Like, sometimes you have to, like, very good traders understand when there is not an edge in the market. And locally, on this little time frame, I'm not yet seeing that edge myself, right? Because daily or like structural claims within a range are not much to be respected, right? They fail a lot. And technically, we are still on a lower high and lower low and another lower high possibly forming on BTC here on the weekly. So, but that's alongside multiple other factors that are on the menu there, right? So again, as I said, I'm more leaning towards the bullish side, even locally. I am fully like 100% bullish on the macro scale when it comes to this asset class. But I'm also respectful of broader things that I see. And I know Tommy is seeing as well, right? When it comes to equities, when it comes to rate cuts, when it comes to gold rallying, like those cannot be just like put your head into the sand and be like, no, nothing of that is happening, right? Like given my experience, I cannot do that anymore. And if that means that I end up buying some of my portfolio slightly higher, then I'm totally okay with it. And I understand this is not an approach for everyone, like totally get it, but I'm just kind of sharing the way I'm playing things. So yeah.
The like button better be at a good level when I check it. I'm gonna just say that much.
It's not bad.
237. We could do better though. We
could
cooked today. We cooked today. I mean, if they don't appreciate the Monday cook sesh, what can you do? But I mean, I felt like we gave some pretty good arguments for both sides today, right? Like that's good cooking in my opinion. But
I think it was a great show. But with that said, it's about time to say goodbye until tomorrow. So Tommy, take us out, because I got to re-record my video because my audio got corrupted. So
Max, it's over.
I'm pissed, man. I wanted to go get lunch, and I have to remake a video I just made. But anyways,
what are you doing for lunch, Max?
My wife made me a salad.
Oh, healthy and wholesome.
What?
Maybe she might be hinting that
No
I
meat?
lose some weight or something.
Bro,
No meat?
no protein?
No, there's protein in there. There's protein.
What do
It's
you
like
got?
Chicken, I think.
Okay.
Protein in
All right.
salad?
Tell her steak next time in your salad, but that's fine.
I'll let her
forgive
know
this
that
time.
you recommended that. Yeah.
Glass of milk on the side.
That's a prescription from the doctor right there.
Yeah, that is.
Prescription.
You guys, the audience should take heed to that. Find somebody who loves you like Will loves his red meat, his steak. I love it, man. Oh, but yeah, it was a great show, guys. We appreciate you as always for tuning in. And I really think we cooked up a storm. So if you could hit that like button on your way out, we would be very appreciative. But a few measures before we can officially wrap up the show, guys. A reminder that we have launched our new hedge fund, BB Wealth Management. Just a general overview, that is a fund that focuses primarily on digital assets and does so in a way that looks to optimize, obviously, the historically asymmetric returns to the upside while managing, obviously, investment risks that are posed in any financial market. So if becoming an accredited investor or LP is something that interests you, we do have more information linked in the description below. We're excited not just that we can trade this fund as a team, but also that we can offer you guys, the community, especially some of you who have been around here for, basically since we got started. So it's super cool to see a lot of you still sticking around, the opportunity to participate as well. But we do have more information linked in the description below, as I said. Not to forget the BB Academy, guys. And for my money, it is probably the best course on the market, especially for the value that you get. You get to learn from every single different trader on this panel, obviously. And we have very different styles and very different ways that we approach the market. As you can see on today's show, we're all kind of split. So it's not like you're just getting a perfectly streamlined course. You're getting a lot of alpha and a lot of different ways to approach the markets. And I truly feel that it's invaluable, especially for the price that we provide it at. So do I read it? Do I read it off, or I've memorized this? At this point, I've memorized it, man. But at this point, I've memorized it. But at the beginning, it's kind of funny when we first started doing these shows. I remember how awkward these intros and outros were for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. But eventually, you get used to it. But yeah, to move on to our programming, guys. If you enjoyed Market Check, we will be live, of course, for another episode tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You get to hear more of us cooking about what we're seeing in the markets. If you enjoyed this show, well, fear not, we will be back. Like I said, every single weekday that the New York Stock Exchange is open, we go live. Of course, we also have Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi, and the timing may vary a little bit more than Market Check. So just make sure to stay subscribed to our Twitter so you can be notified, not just when we schedule those spaces, but also when we go live. Wabi always has some really great guests on. Last week, for example, we had Michael Green on, a lot of other really great guests, and the show usually takes on a flavor very, very much in tune with the guests that we have on the show. But that is it from us, guys. We hope you've had a fantastic start to the week. We hope that we could maybe brighten up your Monday a little bit. Maybe not. Either way, we will be back cooking here tomorrow regardless. We appreciate your support, especially if you hit the like button. Shout out to you guys. And we will see you all again tomorrow. Thanks again, and stay safe, guys.